The entertainment world is more vibrant and diverse than ever, as more individuals find the courage to live openly and authentically, shattering barriers and inspiring millions in the process. Among them are transgender stars who, despite facing immense challenges, continue to rise, shine, and redefine what it means to succeed in the spotlight. In this video, we're shining a light on 10 incredible transgender talents you may not know yet, trailblazers who are not only changing the face of representation, but reminding us all that real talent and true identity have no limits. Andrea Pediga's story is one of bold beauty, inner conflict, and ultimate transformation. Before she dazzled the world as Andrea, the celebrated female model, she was known in the fashion world as Andrea Pediga, a striking male model whose ability to effortlessly wear women's clothing on international runways turned heads and shattered norms. With sharp cheekbones, an androgynous allure, and an unshakable presence, Andrea quickly rose to stardom, booking high-profile gigs with the biggest names in fashion. But beneath the glamour and flashing cameras, she was silently wrestling with a truth she could no longer ignore. From a young age, growing up as a boy in Bosnia and later in Australia, Andrea felt out of place in the world. She couldn't name the feeling at first, but it was there, persistent and quietly aching. She gravitated toward what society labeled feminine, playing with her mother's makeup, trying on her clothes, actions that brought both joy and shame in a world that demanded conformity. As her features grew more defined and her uniqueness more visible, she faced bullying, misunderstanding, and deep isolation. But fashion became her refuge. In an industry that often embraces the unconventional, Andrea's gender-fluid beauty stood out like a masterpiece. Designers took notice, and her modeling career skyrocketed. She walked the runways of Paris and Milan, hailed as a trailblazer. Yet, with every photo shoot and every catwalk, she still felt like a stranger in her own skin. Success couldn't quiet the internal voice that told her, "This isn't who you really are." For years, the idea of transitioning lived quietly in the back of her mind, an impossible dream, tangled in fear. To live as her true self meant risking everything: her rising career, her relationships, and the fragile acceptance she'd fought so hard for. But the weight of pretending became unbearable. In 2014, she made the life-altering decision to transition. It wasn't glamorous. It was emotionally raw, physically grueling, and filled with uncertainty. Andrea told Vogue that the process wasn't as simple as booking surgery. It demanded psychological evaluations, hormone therapy, and immense inner strength. But in embracing her truth, she didn't lose her place in the fashion world. She redefined it. Andrea became the first transgender model to appear on the cover of GQ Portugal, a historic milestone that echoed far beyond fashion. Looking back, Andrea reflects on the pain, confusion, and resilience that shaped her journey. If she could speak to her younger self, she'd say, "You're not broken. You're becoming." Today, her story isn't just about gender identity, it's a powerful message of self-acceptance, perseverance, and the courage to live authentically in a world that often asks us to hide who we are. Caitlyn Jenner's transformation wasn't just a change in gender, it was a bold declaration of truth in a world that often demands silence. Long before the world met Caitlyn, Bruce Jenner stood on the Olympic podium in 1976, a symbol of American strength and glory after winning gold in the decathlon. To the world, Bruce was the ultimate athlete. But behind the medals, behind the smile, lived a secret struggle that few could ever imagine. As a child, Bruce felt a strange but undeniable pull toward femininity, trying on his mother's clothes in quiet curiosity, wondering what it all meant. These feelings were terrifying, not because they were wrong, but because there was no space to talk about them in a world that saw gender as black and white. So Bruce ran, literally. He poured every ounce of confusion, fear, and longing into sports. And it worked for a while. The roar of the crowd was a distraction. The gold medal was a shield. But success couldn't silence the inner voice that whispered, "This isn't who you really are." Off the field, Bruce lived as a father, husband, and public figure. Yet, the sense of isolation only grew. He tried to open up during his marriage to Linda Thompson, but when she couldn't fully understand, it left him feeling more alone. Years later, with Kris Jenner, Bruce once again revealed parts of his truth, sharing that he had taken hormones for 4 years prior. Still, the topic became a point of tension, and Chris later claimed she never knew the full extent. Despite the emotional distance, the two built a media empire together and raised one of television's most famous families through keeping up with the Kardashians. Bruce, the steady patriarch, was beloved by fans. So when Bruce became Caitlyn, the world, and the Kardashian-Jenner clan was stunned. But what followed was even more powerful than the shock. Love. After the initial wave of confusion and emotion, Caitlyn's family rallied around her, proving that even the most complex truths can be met with compassion. Her decision to transition at age 65, when many seek peace and stability, was an act of fearless self-love. In 2015, she introduced herself to the world on the cover of Vanity Fair with just 4 words, "Call me Caitlyn." That moment sparked more than headlines. It ignited a global conversation. Caitlyn didn't just change her own life. She cracked open the door for thousands of others to live honestly. Today, she stands not only as a former Olympic hero but as a symbol of courage, freedom, and reinvention. And while Caitlyn blazed a trail in the public eye, she wasn't alone. Laverne Cox, often hailed as one of the first transgender actresses to gain mainstream recognition, helped shape that path. Her portrayal of Sophia Bursett in Orange Is the New Black was groundbreaking, but her journey, like Caitlyn's, was one of pain, perseverance, and ultimately, pride. Together, their stories remind us that the fight for authenticity may be long and difficult, but it's always worth it. Carmen Carrera's journey to fame began on Season 3 of RuPaul's Drag Race, where her striking beauty and captivating stage presence quickly made her a standout. But what truly set Carmen apart came after the spotlight dimmed. Following her time on the show, she began her transition, an incredibly personal evolution that unfolded under intense public scrutiny. For many who had admired her as a drag performer, it was difficult to shift their perception. To them, Carmen was still just a man in makeup, not the woman she had always known herself to be. But Carmen was determined to live her truth, no matter the cost. By sharing her transition publicly, she hoped to help normalize the transgender experience and challenge the misconceptions that still plague society. Her decision didn't just change her own life. It sparked necessary conversations about identity, respect, and the power of language within the LGBTQ+ community. One pivotal moment came when Carmen publicly called out the controversial she-male segment on Drag Race, labeling it as deeply offensive to trans individuals. The backlash was swift. Some fans accused her of turning her back on the very show that gave her a platform. But Carmen stood her ground, choosing integrity over popularity and pushing for a more inclusive culture within drag and beyond. Today, Carmen Carrera is not just a successful international model, gracing major runways across the world. She's a fierce advocate for transgender rights. Despite past controversies, she holds no ill will toward RuPaul and has even said she'd still hug him if they crossed paths again. Carmen's story is more than just a tale of transformation. It's a testament to resilience, authenticity, and the ongoing fight for dignity and equality in a world still learning how to embrace all identities. Chanel West Coast has carved out a unique place for herself in the entertainment world as both a rapper and actress. She rose to fame on Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory, where her role as the rapping secretary made her a fan favorite thanks to her bold personality and infectious energy. Beyond reality TV, Chanel built a successful music career, showing she's not just a one-note performer but a multifaceted artist. But with fame often comes strange rumors, and Chanel has found herself at the center of one of the internet's most persistent myths, that she is actually Lee Norris, the actor who played Minkus on Boy Meets World, after transitioning. When asked about the bizarre claim, Chanel expressed sympathy for Norris. She pointed out that the rumor, while clearly false, had unfairly overshadowed his acting career, leading many to assume he had disappeared from Hollywood altogether. The speculation reportedly started as a joke, sparked by a passing resemblance between the two. But Chanel didn't laugh it off. Instead, she used the moment to highlight a deeper issue: how insensitive and damaging it can be to make light of gender identity. Transitioning, she emphasized, is an intensely personal and often painful journey, one that involves not just physical changes but also emotional and psychological challenges. It's not a punchline. It deserves understanding, not mockery. Despite the noise, Chanel West Coast continues to thrive. She stayed focused on her goals, building a career fueled by talent, resilience, and authenticity. And by addressing the rumor with poise and empathy, she's shown the world that she's not only a gifted performer, but a thoughtful, compassionate voice in a world that too often forgets the human stories behind the headlines. Chaz Bono. When Sonny and Cher welcomed their child Chastity into the world in 1969, they likely envisioned a life filled with opportunity and privilege. But what they couldn't foresee was the deeply personal and painful journey Chastity would face under the blinding spotlight of fame. As the child of two music legends, Chastity was often in the public eye, smiling for cameras, walking red carpets, but behind the scenes, she struggled with an inner truth she couldn't yet define. From an early age, Chastity sensed something wasn't right. Though she was raised as a girl, the identity never truly fit. She tried to conform, to wear the masks society handed her, but deep inside, she felt like a stranger in her own body, uncomfortable, disconnected, and silently aching for something more honest. As the years passed, that inner conflict grew louder. She wasn't just battling gender norms, she was wrestling with the very core of her existence. By the late 2000s, Chastity made a life-changing decision: to live as her true self. She transitioned into Chaz Bono, finally embracing the identity she had buried for so long. It wasn't a decision made lightly. The road to authenticity was steep, filled with fear, doubt, and emotional turmoil. Even today, Chaz admits it's still painful to look at old photos of himself as Chastity, a reminder of years lived in a body that never felt like home. At 40, Chaz underwent gender-affirming surgeries, including chest reconstruction, and began testosterone treatments. His voice deepened, facial hair emerged, and for the first time, he began to feel aligned with the person he saw in the mirror. These physical changes marked more than a transition, they marked a rebirth. But Chaz's story didn't end with personal transformation. He became a powerful voice in the LGBTQ+ community, using his platform to advocate for equality and educate the world on what it means to live authentically. Like his parents, he pursued a career in entertainment, only this time on his own terms. Chaz made history as the first transgender man to play a trans male character in a major film, and earned roles in shows like The Secret Life of the American Teenager, The Bold and the Beautiful, and American Horror Story. His journey wasn't just challenging for him, it was a profound shift for his family, especially his mother, Cher. She's openly spoken about how difficult it was to accept the change, confessing that transitioning from seeing Chastity as her daughter to embracing Chaz as her son was emotionally complex. Even now, Cher occasionally stumbles over pronouns. But what never wavers is her love. She's repeatedly expressed how proud she is of Chaz, not just for surviving but for thriving, for standing tall in his truth, and for inspiring others to do the same. Chaz Bono's story is not just one of transformation, it's one of resilience, courage, and the undeniable power of living as your true self. Erica Irvin's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. Known to many as a groundbreaking supermodel and actress, Erica made headlines in 2004 when she courageously came out as transgender. Born William, Erica stood out long before her transition, towering at an astonishing 6 feet 8 inches, 205 centimeters. She quickly earned the title of the world's tallest female model, carving a unique space for herself in the fashion world. But behind the spotlight was a woman preparing to share her truth. When she considered coming out publicly, it was her close friend, actor Bill Skarsgård, who offered a pivotal piece of advice. Tell your story in Sweden, a country known for its progressive values and openness. That encouragement gave Erica the confidence to step into the world as her authentic self. Her talent soon transcended the runway. Erica stunned audiences with her unforgettable role as Amazon Eve in American Horror Story, Freak Show. Ironically, the part had originally been written for a man playing a woman. Erica auditioned anyway, and nailed it. Only after being cast did she reveal to producers that she was transgender, a truth that didn't sway their decision. Her towering presence paired with the world's shortest woman on screen created not only a striking visual contrast, but a bold symbol of diversity and acceptance. Yet Erica's path wasn't without heartbreak. Her transition came at the cost of family support, a loss that cut deep. But she refused to let rejection define her. Instead, she transformed her pain into purpose, embracing her identity with fierce pride. Today, Erica Irvin stands as more than just a model or actress. She's a beacon of strength, resilience, and unapologetic authenticity. Her story reminds us that what once made us feel different can ultimately become our greatest power. Fallon Fox's story is one of raw courage, unshakable identity, and an unrelenting fight for acceptance in a world that often resists change. As the first openly transgender athlete in mixed martial arts (MMA), Fallon didn't just step into the cage to win fights. She stepped in to challenge an entire system built on outdated notions of gender and strength. Growing up in Toledo, Ohio, Fallon always felt different. While other boys roughhoused, she found comfort in spaces society labeled as feminine. But in a home where rigid gender roles were the norm, there was no room for self-expression. When Fallon finally came out to her parents, instead of love and support, she was met with confusion and rejection. Her mother shut her down, and her father assumed she was just gay, something he believed could be fixed. What followed was a harrowing chapter: conversion therapy, a widely discredited and deeply traumatic attempt to erase her truth. But Fallon knew who she was. And despite the pain, the isolation, and the lack of support, she found the strength to transition and embrace the woman she was always meant to be. Her entry into the MMA world was groundbreaking and controversial. In a sport that glorifies brute force and machismo, Fallon shattered stereotypes just by showing up. But instead of being celebrated, she was scrutinized. Critics claimed she had an unfair advantage because she had been assigned male at birth, ignoring the science, the hormone therapy, and the immense sacrifices she had made to compete fairly. Perhaps the most painful blow came not from her opponents, but from her peers. Fellow fighters who had once trained beside her suddenly saw her not as a competitor, but as a threat to their space. Still, Fallon didn't flinch. She fought, not just for herself, but for every transgender athlete who had ever been told they didn't belong. Her presence in the cage was a defiant declaration. Transgender athletes are not a problem to be solved, but pioneers breaking barriers. Fallon Fox's journey is more than just a sports story. It's a battle for dignity, for truth, and for a future where no one has to choose between who they are and what they love. Gina Rosero, a celebrated model and passionate advocate, experienced a life-changing turning point in 2014 when she bravely came out as transgender during a TED Talk that stunned and inspired millions. Until that moment, the world knew her simply as a successful fashion model. Few realized she had been assigned male at birth. Her revelation wasn't just a personal milestone, it was a powerful act of courage that would redefine her life and purpose. Gina's journey began early. At just 5 years old, she told her mother with clarity and confidence, "I'm a girl." Unlike many transgender children, Gina was met with love and support from her family, a gift she never took for granted. By the age of 19, she had undergone gender confirmation surgery, aligning her physical self with the woman she always knew she was. But even with that step completed, Gina chose to keep her history private, fearing that disclosure might derail her modeling career or cost her the acceptance she'd worked so hard to earn. For years, that fear haunted her, especially in an industry where image is everything. She worried that being outed could strip away her legitimacy as a woman. But Gina also knew she was living in a kind of silence that denied her truth. Eventually, she made the bold decision to speak out, not just for herself, but for every transgender person living in the shadows. When she stepped onto the TED stage, emotions surged. Her voice cracked, her heart raced, but her message rang clear: you don't have to hide who you are. The impact was immediate. Instead of rejection, Gina was met with overwhelming support, from her agent, her peers, and even those who had never known her story. That moment transformed her. No longer just a model, Gina Rosero became a beacon for change. Since then, she's emerged as a trailblazing advocate for transgender rights within the fashion world and beyond. Using her platform to push for visibility, inclusion, and equal opportunity, Gina has become a symbol of authenticity, resilience, and hope. Her story continues to inspire a new generation, not just to dream big, but to live boldly and unapologetically as their true selves. Jennings has become one of the most powerful voices representing the transgender experience, especially what it truly means to grow up as a transgender child in today's world. Her journey began in the public eye at just 6 years old, when she bravely shared her story during a heartfelt interview with Barbara Walters. Even at that young age, Jazz had a deep, unshakable understanding of who she was, a girl, despite being assigned male at birth. From the beginning, her identity showed through in the little things, gravitating toward her sister's clothes, dancing in high heels, and embracing the things society traditionally associates with femininity. When her parents would accidentally refer to her as a boy, Jazz would immediately correct them with fierce conviction, insisting, "I'm a girl." She even dreamed that one day, a magical fairy would transform her body to match how she truly felt inside. A child's wish, yes, but also a reflection of her unwavering desire to be seen as her authentic self. Fortunately, Jazz was surrounded by love. Her family embraced her identity from the start, giving her the support and strength to thrive rather than hide. That acceptance became the foundation of her confidence and her lifelong mission, to be a voice for others like her. As she grew older, Jazz didn't just live her truth, she shared it. Her life unfolded on national television in her own TLC series, I Am Jazz, offering a raw, real, and emotional glimpse into the highs and lows of growing up transgender. She also became a YouTube personality, a best-selling author, and an outspoken advocate, earning a spot on Time magazine's list of the 25 most influential teens in 2014. What makes Jazz truly extraordinary isn't just her visibility, it's her grace and self-assurance. When asked how she handles judgment from others, she once replied, "The only opinion that truly matters to me is my own. I define who I am, not anyone else." Today, Jennings continues to inspire millions around the world. Her courage, compassion, and fight for transgender rights have made her not just a symbol of hope, but a force for change. Her story isn't just personal, it's part of a growing movement for understanding, dignity, and acceptance for all. Laverne Cox grew up in Mobile, Alabama, a place where strict gender roles weren't just the norm, they were law. From an early age, Laverne knew she was different. She gravitated toward things society labeled as feminine, things that, in her community, brought ridicule instead of acceptance. As a teenager, she endured relentless bullying. Classmates mocked her for being too feminine, and every insult cut deep. But those painful moments planted the seeds of resilience in a girl who would later become one of the most powerful voices of her generation. One of Laverne's earliest loves was dance. She found freedom in movement, joy in rhythm, and a sense of self in the art form. But even that passion came with barriers. Her mother hesitated, concerned that dancing was too feminine for her son. Eventually, she allowed tap and jazz but banned ballet, fearing it crossed a line. Still, Laverne threw herself into every step, using dance as a quiet rebellion and a path to self-expression. Raised in a deeply religious household, Laverne was taught that her feelings were wrong, that who she was inside was a sin. The shame, confusion, and isolation weighed heavily on her young soul. At just 11 years old, overwhelmed by guilt and rejection, she attempted to take her own life by swallowing a bottle of pills. Miraculously, she survived. That moment didn't end her story, it started it. Years later, Laverne left Alabama behind and moved to New York, chasing a dream and a sense of freedom she'd never known. In the diverse and vibrant city, she began her transition. It wasn't easy, the emotional and physical challenges were immense, but for the first time, she was living as the woman she always knew she was. Each step toward authenticity was a step toward healing. Her breakthrough came with Orange is the New Black. Portraying Sophia Bursett, Laverne didn't just play a role, she lived it. Her performance wasn't just powerful, it was transformative. Through her work, she humanized the transgender experience for millions and became a face of visibility in an industry that had long looked the other way. But Laverne didn't stop at stardom. She used her platform to speak out, becoming a passionate advocate for the LGBTQ+ community. She's educated the public, challenged misconceptions, and fought fiercely for dignity and equality. Her message is simple yet profound: trans is beautiful. Laverne Cox's journey, from bullied child to groundbreaking actress and activist, isn't just inspiring, it's revolutionary. She stands as proof that living your truth is not just brave, it's powerful. Her story continues to light the way for countless others fighting to be seen, heard, and loved. From breaking barriers to rewriting the rules of fame, these 30 transgender stars prove one undeniable truth: authenticity is the most powerful force of all. Whether they're commanding the stage, transforming Hollywood, or simply speaking out, their stories remind us that real courage isn't about fitting in, it's about standing tall in your truth. Which of these stories moved you the most? Or did we miss someone you admire? Drop a comment below, we'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold Hollywood discoveries that uplift and empower. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and never stop celebrating the beauty of being unapologetically you.